heaven is real. Tell me, do you know how it feels? And how does it feel to know you're a child of the King? Your heavenly Father owns everything. How does it feel to know you are loved by the one who created the stars up above? How does it feel to know you're alright when you lay your head on your pillow each night and know that it's real? Ain't it good to know how it feels? And how does it feel to know you're a child of the King? Your heavenly Father owns everything. How does it feel to know you are loved by the one who created the stars up above? How does it feel to know you're alright when you lay your head on your pillow each night and know that it's real? Ain't it good to know how it feels? How does it feel?
All right, everybody stand, turn to page 240. We'll go ahead and get the ball rolling. Everybody got it now? On the first. When the trumpet of the Lord shall sound, and time shall be no more, and the morning breaks eternal, bright and fair. When the saints of earth shall gather over on the other shore, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there. On the last, let us labor for the Master from the dawn till setting sun. Let us talk of all his wondrous love and care. Then when all of life is over and our work on earth is done, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there. Come on, Brother Scott.
Amen. Good to be at church. A lot going on this afternoon, so we will do the best we can. Y'all remember Miss Chastity in prayer? She just had come out of surgery. I was talking to Justin. When I was talking to him, I think they were letting him go back to see her. My understanding, everything went good as far as I know, but I think she's just waking up from that. So keep her in your mind and prayers. And There's many more I know to pray about. I do know this morning, I'll go with announcements real quick. I do know this morning I was talking to Brittany on the way home. She was a little aggravated. She'd got off work and she's sitting in traffic. Normally when you're headed north, you know, after working night shift, there's no traffic. So I was talking to her on my way to work. She hadn't moved much, just rolling up. And I says, well, look at it this way, Brittany. I get aggravated in traffic. I said, but most than likely there's a wreck. And I says, it could be worse. You could be in it. So then I get to work and I search for her, and she's moving up. She says, should I get off or not? And I was reading online when I was sitting at my desk at work. I says, well, according to that, there has been an accident. It happened before 7 o'clock. It would not be cleared to after 9 o'clock, and there's been a death in the wreck. So I said, based on that, good, you wasn't in it. And that puts perspective sometimes in what you're, you know, it could be worse. You could be in that wreck, and you could be one of them fatalities. Remember that family, of course, she got off the interstate and was able to get home from that. But it's all got perspective as to what you do. I'll go over the announcements here for you real quick. The North Georgia Independent Fellowship meeting will be October the 5th. That'll be at Rest Haven Baptist Church, and that's at 7:30. The outreach fundraiser for Iowa Ministry, and the choir will be singing at that. That's at Greater Heights Baptist Church in Cumming, and that will be at 5 o'clock. That's on Saturday, right? October the 13th. And then the men's prayer breakfast will be October the 20th, and that will be at 8 o'clock. That'll be here at Hog Mountain Baptist Church. We'll be cooking at 6:30 for that. So just keep all this in your prayers. You got some more? Oh, I thought...
Two things. The Gloucester Ladies Meeting has been canceled this Saturday. I just got a text. It's been canceled. They had a death in their church, so the funeral was on Saturday, so they're not having it this Saturday.
Okay.
Also, New Canaan's Camp Meeting starts Sunday night through Wednesday.
Okay, so just in case y'all didn't hear, Gloucester Baptist Church women's meeting this Saturday has been canceled, and then New Canaan's camp meeting
Sunday night
starts Sunday through Wednesday. Okay, so I say that for y'all, and then people maybe online that might not be here would be listening as well. So I did learn one thing this week. If y'all didn't, y'all, I don't know if y'all know this. I don't do Facebook a lot. I think I have one. Thank to Miss Jessica. So I am told. But I did hear something this week that might interest you. And I think we need Facebook. I think it's an awesome thing. I think it's a good thing. But what I heard was a different kind of Facebook. And I think sometimes this is the face in the book that we need. I think we need our book, and we need our face in it. And I think it would change the world a lot. And I'm not saying that Facebook is bad. I think you can spread the word, and I think you can keep up with a lot of things. But I thought it was kind of neat, and I had somebody tell me that, and I just wanted to share it with you. I think we need a Facebook. I think we need our face in this book, and I think it would make a major difference in a lot of things that we do. Brother Mahaffey, how about you lead us in prayer, and we get started? Yes. 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 Amen. Oh, yeah, we can do that. You ready? This time we're going to receive our offering. If I could get some ushers. There we go. We'll receive our offering and... turn to 264. All right. Bless this. You can, Brother Matt. Okay. All right. So we'll bless this offering. How about you do that for us, Brother CJ?
Thank you, Lord, for the safe resort. Bless this offering to your will and your way, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Page 264.
Alas, and did my Savior bleed, and did my sovereign die? Would he devote that sacred head for such a worm as I? At the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there and now I am happy all the day. On the third, well might the sun in darkness hide and shut his glories in, when Christ the mighty Maker died for man the creature's sin. At the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the day. On the last, but drops of grief can ne'er repay the debt of love I owe. Here, Lord, I give myself away, 'tis all that I can do. At the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the day. Amen. You can be seated. Come on. Oh.
I've always had a place to sleep, close to air and food to eat. God has been so good to me. Thank you, Lord, for Mom and Dad, the best friends on earth I've had. God has been so good to me. God has been so good to me. I'm thankful for a fine family. The little church that I attend, and for all my Christian friends, God has been so good to me. Thank God I live where men are free, where there's love and liberty. God has been so good to me. If all I had He took away, then I still would have to say, God has been so good to me. God has been so good to me. I'm thankful for a fine family. Though unto death my sins did reign, his grace did much more abound. Though clothed in garments filthy and stained, his grace did much more abound. His grace did much more abound. In love he lifted me out. Though lost and unworthy I was found, his grace did much more abound. There on the cross he shed his blood, so faithful and so true. Redeeming grace came from above, and there is enough for you. His grace did much more abound. In love he lifted me out. Though lost and unworthy I was found, his grace did much more abound. His grace did much more abound. In love he lifted me out. Though lost and unworthy I was found, his grace did much more abound. Though lost and unworthy I was found, his grace did much more abound.
That ain't good to do after you eat. Lord have mercy. Oh. Great day. Most of the churches around here, Victory, Mount Sinai, probably Gloucester and them as well, will be moving their Sunday night service to back up Brother Mike Soup at New Canaan, starting their camp meeting. And I thought I'd run that by y'all to see how you felt about it. It's a good meeting. There'll be a lot of people, be a lot of choir singing. It's a good meeting. Brother Mike's been doing this for, it ain't far from 30 years, is it? And we've been going to it for a long time, just about the whole 30 years. How does everybody feel about that if we were to move our Sunday night service to back it? Now, I ain't taking it night off. That means move the service to over there. You know what I mean? I want to have a good showing. And look, I don't want to miss anybody. Anybody that's not here, their vote does not count. So we'll just vote on it anyway. Anything else you want to vote on tonight? Let's put some men in some positions and some other people too. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Hey. There we go. I might get in trouble with that, though. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, everybody that feel good about that, raise your hand if you would be okay with doing that. That's pretty good group. Okay, we're going to say a unanimous. Anybody against? I'm supposed to ask anybody opposed. Starts at 6, so you still won't be that late. And I got a good report on Miss Kelly. She's doing good. And so hopefully she'll be getting cleared out and able to come back. So that's good. So y'all remember to pray for her. Make sure I'm not missing anything. All right. Well, we'll move forward. Continue to pray for Brother Roy Bruce. I'm sure he's still going through a lot of changes since his wife is gone. And some of y'all that have been through things like that, you know where he is. So just remember to pray for him. And I know he'll appreciate that. There was somebody else I was thinking about too. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Carla's uncle, Washy, and them. Pray for them as well. I know they're going through some stuff, and I wish I seen as much in that as I did at one funeral as I did at the other. I'll put it like that. It's funny, but people, they'll say, well, I'll deal with that later, or I'll fix this later. And then later never comes. Now, the younger people, I remember when I was young, and I'm not old, but I ain't young like I once was. But it seemed like it took forever for Christmas to get here. Man, it took forever. I mean, it just seemed like it took for stinking ever. Everything else came around right on time, but Christmas just drug, you know. And I remember them last weeks up to Christmas, it was like, goodness gracious, come on, you know, let's get on. And now it's like, oh my Lord, Christmas is almost here again, dear Lord. And I mean, it like sneaks up on me. And, you know, so it's funny how things get past you. Things that are dragging now is going to pick up speed. Just trust me when I tell you. Pray for Brianna and Adam. They'll be tying the knot this Friday night. And I won't pick any jokes. I'll wait till after, and then I'll have my fun. But, yeah, there'll be a lot of things I'll be messing with them on. But anyway, pray for them. Because the saying goes, I've heard preachers say this, I'm not going to say me, but I heard a preacher say one time, man, when I first started dating my wife and wanted to marry her, I could have eat her up. And 40 years later, he said, I wish I had. Somebody said, marriage is a wonderful institution, but who wants to spend the rest of their life in an institution? I can't help it. These thoughts come to me. So anyway, oh boy, there's plenty of them. Just give me a minute to think and it all comes back to me. But anyway, but pray for them. I get tickled when I start thinking about somebody getting married. It brings back a lot of memories, you know, of when we got married. It does. And the funniest thing, and Carla, I can assure you, did this accidentally, totally accidental. Up till the marriage, I pushed. When we dated, I would spend just about everything I had every weekend, make sure she had a nice, I took her to the best of the best, nice places, and truck was always clean. Of course, y'all heard the story. Oh, maybe y'all hadn't. One of the first nice vehicles I had was an 84 Chevrolet four-wheel drive pickup. And man, I polished it. You couldn't lean against my truck. You'd fall off and hit the ground. And it had a vinyl seat in it. And man, I slicked that joker up. I kept it slick, buddy. And what would happen when I'd pick her up, she'd be on that side. And I'd wait till the right moment and give her a yank, and she'd slide right over there next to me. And people used to say it's hard to believe that truck takes two people to drive. But that's the way it was, you know. Good memories. And when we went to get married, up till then, man, I did everything. You'll have to get with her, even on the engagement. I went all out on the engagement. Brought in, now this is no lie, she'll vouch for me. I went to my daddy and them's church over at Victory, the fellowship hall. I hung black curtains from the back door all the way to the front to make a hallway. And then I did an elliptical room in the front and had curtains where you walk through. I got my mother's dining room table and 2 chairs, put them in there. Had roses made, her favorite roses, put on the table in a bouquet. I had her favorite meal from Olive Garden in the back so they could put it on Mother's fine china. I had her favorite dessert from the Depot Bakery. Her favorite drink from Quick Trip was a cappuccino, French vanilla. That's amazing. I can't even remember this stuff, but it was so much work I probably will never forget it. I had the ring hung above her head, which she almost broke her neck trying to look up. And there was something else, seemed like. Oh, I had a sound system from my uncle's gospel group, and I bought my one and only Kenny G CD to play music while we sat there. I did all this in one day's time. had a limo pick her up at work, had her mother have her clothes ready so she could change in the back of their store. The limo driver was the only kind of disappointment. I was wanting it to be very distinguished and, you know, to the T. And I told him, I said, just say compliments of William Jackson. And he comes in and says, compliments of Willie Jackson. And that's after we're 45 minutes late. Yeah, I could have killed that guy, but I was so glad he finally got there, it all went away. But this was the engagement. I had a video camera set up one corner, my brother-in-law video, and had my one of my main guys that worked with me, and my cousin Jonathan, the one that is pastor of Mount Sinai. I had them in black ties and black slacks to serve and had the little towel over their arms. And I mean, I went all out. But I promise you after that, I said, now, I'm done. I said, all I want to know about the wedding is what time and where. I don't care what I got to wear. I don't care where it's going to be. You know what I mean? I said, I am done. And we got it on video. We got to get it changed over to DVD. If I said VHS, some of these young people say, what? You know, but anyway. But I went all out. She set up the wedding. We found out that my in-laws' rental house come available. So I said, man, I wish we were moving it up to get that house. That'd be an ideal situation. Well, she decided, she said, you serious? I said, yeah, I'm serious. So she bumped the date, wound up going to Pigeon Forge or Gatlinburg, and brought the whole immediate family. Had a crew up there. It was a very neat experience. And it happened to be the weekend of the F-100 Nationals. So then I got excited about our wedding. You know what I mean? I was like, hot dog! F-100s, then I'm getting married? Man, you couldn't have much more. And so we had a ball. It was cool. The wedding party, I used my brother-in-law's 72 Ford pickup, looked just like Dad's red truck. The wedding party climbs in the back. Me and Carla are in the front, got balloons coming out everywhere in that truck. She's in her wedding gown, I'm in my tux. We're dragging cans, and we drive through the F-100 Nationals. And I mean, it was fun. So we got a lot of good memories, you know. You need to cherish these moments because before you know it, 20 years will go by. And me talking like this, Carla, it don't seem like it's been 20 years, does it? It's hard to believe. Over 20 years. But it'll get by like that. Next thing you know, it's gone. So cherish the moments. Pray for these young ones getting married that they will not get in a hurry. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You get in such a hurry. I got to do this. I got to do this. And next thing you know, it's gone. And you're thinking, man, I wish I had that back. But anyway, y'all can turn to 2 Samuel, I believe. And that's where I'll be. Let's see. Somebody said, does it really get away that bad? Well, it does. Adam, I'm sending you a picture wherever he went. And I want you to, when you get it, give me the thumbs up. And I'm going to prove my point about time going by. I don't have that one. You have to send me the one you showed me this afternoon, but there's no need for that. She showed me a picture of me when I was young. And no, I didn't really want to do that till maybe the end. Yeah. Anyway, but I'm going to show you in a minute when Brother Adam gets this. He'll have to put it in the computer. He does that magic with the computer. But to prove that time gets away from you. But in 2 Samuel, believe it or not, I used some of this at the funeral. And I don't know how many of y'all knew this, but Miss Janie, you know, she didn't have, one of her legs halfway down was a prosthetic leg. She had a lot of trouble with it. Well, I found out she was born with problems. So she had cast on both her legs when she was just an infant. Had a lot of trouble with her legs. One time, it got so twisted they had to break it and reset her leg to get it back in line. She always had problems with her legs. And then they had to take one of them off because of staph. It got in the bottom section to take it off. And from then on, she just struggled with that, you know. And at that funeral, I told them I used this story right here in chapter 9 of 2 Samuel. And it just came on me really strong about this. So I used it. But in 2 Samuel 9 and verse 1, it says, And David said, Is there yet any that is left of the house of Saul, that I may shew him kindness for Jonathan's sake? And there was of the house of Saul a servant whose name was Ziba. And when they had called unto him, David the king said unto him, Art thou Ziba? And he said, Thy servant is he. And the king said, Is there not any of the house of Saul, that I may shew the kindness of God unto him? And Ziba said unto the king, Jonathan hath yet a son, which is lame on his feet. And the king said unto him, Where is he? And Ziba said unto the king, Behold, he is in the house of Mashar, the son of Amiel, in Lodebar. And I want you to catch something here. Now, I do agree, David did a great thing here. David did one thing you don't hardly ever hear of any other king the whole time you read your Bible, that kings did this. You didn't do that. Usually, like Brother Justin has said, when the kingship changed, they would almost literally kill and destroy any of the family of the other one to make sure nobody rose up against the new king. And for David to do this is very, very, very unusual. Out of character completely for a king. But the thing I noticed, and you read these things over and over and then you catch something. But what I caught here in verse 3, and the king says, There any of the house of Saul, that I may shew the kindness of God unto him. It really wasn't that David did it because he wanted to. It's because David wanted to show him the God that he served. Do you catch that? So if you get that mindset, it's really not David that did anything. He was reflecting what God wanted to do. Y'all get that? You understand what I'm saying? He didn't necessarily do it because he wanted to. He did it because God had showed him kindness in his life. And somebody said, yeah, but didn't David lose a child? David went through a lot of things, but still, the kindness of God was so overwhelming that he wanted to share it with other people. Even so much as a king, bringing, if you will, his enemy into his own house to sit at his table. That's pretty far out. There's guys, I've told y'all this, and I'm going to share some of it again. I love seeing grown men learn. That's crazy, isn't it? Some of them, what's the big deal? Because most grown men don't learn. Old men they're like young men. A man that's up to 20-something years old knows everything and knows nothing. Then the old man gets so set in their ways, they know everything and don't know it all yet either. And somebody said, what's the happy medium? I ain't figured that out yet. But I'll maybe in the future I will. But at the shop, I told different people, said, oh, you're just a kiss up to people. That's how you get along with everybody. You don't make nobody do nothing. But I said, it's funny. I get along with everybody. I get along with everybody. And when I need something done, the beatingest thing you've ever seen, I don't holler and scream at people. I told them, if I got to holler and scream, I'm going to find me another job. Life's too short, life's too long to live like that. I've been around married people that hollered and screamed all the time. And I say again, life is too short and life's too long to live like that. Some of them, I don't know what they were thinking when they got involved in the situation they were in. I've said it many times, and I like to make people laugh. Y'all know that. Carla's my #1 fan. We'll see somebody come in, and there'll be some ugly person. I mean, ugly, Lord, I mean ugly. And I'll look at Carla and say, I'm going to tell you right now, you'd hear me yell from one end of the state to the other if I woke up and rolled over and saw that. I believe I'd quit preaching and get divorced. Couldn't stand that. You know what I mean? An ugly mate would be a torture. You know what I'm saying? That I don't think people could describe. And I see some of them, and some of them started out pretty good, but as age went on. I've seen some that started out kind of ugly, ended up pretty good. It's funny how that works, isn't it? I got to tell another story. I don't know why I'm on a roll tonight, but y'all just going to bear with me. Ain't like you got enough men to vote me out. Amen? All right. I heard the story of this guy. He fell in love with a friend of his, and she turned into a country western singer, got real famous and popular. And he followed this lady all over the country, all his life, begging her to marry him. Finally, later in life, she says, okay, I'll marry you. So they get married, all right? They get to the honeymoon, and she takes off her wig, takes off her fake leg, pops out her fake eye, You know what I mean? Took out her teeth. I mean, you know. And time she got done doing all that, she got in the bed, and the man said, "Sing, woman, sing." Because he realized he had done a bad deed. He had been sold a bad bill of goods. You got to be careful what things look like. Might not end up the way they are at the beginning. And sing, woman, sing. I can hear my daddy saying that. He told me that. I heard him say that a bunch of times. Sing, woman, sing. I look, though, maybe David had different visions. You got to think about this. David, when started out, he was the run of the family. He probably knew what he was going to do. He probably knew his role, what it was going to be. Everybody had roles, right? Back in these days, everybody knew what they were going to do. If they were big guys, they knew they were going to be the fighters. They'd be in the battle. They'd be doing things like that. The smaller ones, they knew they was going to be tending the sheep, doing things of that nature. So David probably knew from the get-go what he was going to be doing. And he's tending the sheep, minding his own affairs. But the neat thing here is God had a different plan for David. He just had a different plan for David. Now, we look at this where I'm reading and we think, man, David the king is doing something nobody's done. But don't forget where he came from. He was nothing but tending to sheep. He was a shepherd. How many of y'all have ever been over to the Holy Land? Any of y'all? Carla has. Shepherds are the poorest of the poor over there. They're literally homeless. They live under tents. They live at the sheep. That's where they stay. Never leave, can't leave. It's a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week deal. They're poor, dirt poor. There David was. Had no idea when his daddy said, "I want you to take something up there to your brothers," that God had a different plan. He goes up there with no intentions of doing anything. Before it's over, he slays the giant that all the rest of them were too scared to even stand before, much less fight. Before it's over, here comes Samuel going to anoint the new king. And he says, "Bring them all before me." And the dad didn't even bring David from the sheep. He just let him look at all of the big boys. And finally Samuel says, "We're going to stand up and wait till you get them all here." David shows up and he said, "That's the man." Nobody saw this coming. Nobody. Now, what are you getting at, preacher? Just stay with me a minute. David started out the shepherd. God gave him an opportunity, but he took it. Don't neglect that. David didn't have to go, but he took the opportunity. Not only that, his dad didn't even have the faith in him, but he still brought him forth. He still gave him the shot. David winds up anointed the next king. His brothers and all of them are thinking he's up to mischief, but it turns out he saves the day. Then after he becomes king, he's still doing these things. Does something nobody has ever done. Brings part of the family of the old king into the table. Through different times of reading about David, he did so many things that nobody else did. And here's why I believe that's so. He didn't start out the top of the ladder. See, a lot of the kings were raised big. They were raised for being a king. They were in the lineup, if you will, for being royalty. They had this mindset. They didn't know what it was to be the shepherd boy. But David did. Are you listening? David's heart was good, but it was because he earned everything that he got. He knew how to appreciate where he was. A lot of us, if we're not careful, we forget where we came from. If we're not careful, we forget about that. I think back, like I just told you, when we got married, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you wreck one of your cars just before the week we got married? We go on the honeymoon. One car's, we don't know. We're up here in a cabin. And I tell you the truth, I'm a people person. The night we got married, we go back, we set up the cabin, get everything put away. So we go riding, and we see some of the wedding party. So we pull in, hang out with them a little while. Somebody said, "What are you doing?" You know? But that's the way we was.
We like to be around people. And as time progressed, we didn't know what we were getting into. And we started out in a rental house of my in-laws. I'm going to tell you some stories. You're going to love this. I remember having people come over to that house. Carla remembers this. And they had some water bugs in that house. And they wouldn't show till the worst of times. And they wouldn't show on the floor where I could stomp it and move it to the side. Oh, no. They'd climb over somebody sitting in the couch, you know. So you're sitting there and you're going, hoping and praying it doesn't fall or we're going to have a hole in the wall. And we started out like this. Did several different things. We bought our first house, about 1,100 square feet. Little bitty house. But we was tickled to get it. And the lady that had the house before us had smoked so much, I knew where every picture hung. I could have put every picture she had right back on the wall where it came down from. I'm telling it right, ain't I? The ceilings were yellow. They're supposed to have been white. I mean, had a pink room, a green room. It was a mess. Bushes hitting the gutters. But it was ours. It was ours. Man, that felt good, didn't it? I mean, it felt good to walk around something that was ours. We worked on it. We fixed it. We were so proud of that little house. And God blessed us to move up again. And we moved to the Jackson County, a little nicer house. Over the years, God has continually blessed us. And here's the thing. I believe it's a secret. And I guess the funeral along with this wedding, believe it or not, all been in 1 week, has got my mind going in a lot of different directions. King David, I believe what his key to success was, he didn't forget what he was. Now listen to me, even though he had a robe, he had the kingship, he was in charge, he was still a shepherd boy. He was still a shepherd boy. No, preacher, he was a king. No. By the nature of the way people were and their stature and their build, he was a shepherd boy that had been promoted to king. You know how to get the best worker on a job? Start him out sweeping the floors and washing the vehicles and working outside. You let him build his way up. Not only will he understand the company, he'll appreciate it when he gets there. You know what makes a good leader? Somebody that knows how to take care of the guys under them. The guys I went into that shop, they took me for being weak. But I've got people doing what we need to get done, and we're doing it faster and better than we've done. And things are moving pretty good. And everybody's slowly getting happy. And things are getting in order. But it started by simply giving respect where respect was due. Are you with me? I think when David did things like this, you know what it did to the people under him, Brother Scott? I think they looked up to him and thought, boy, now that's a good man right there. I believe it changed the way his leadership was. If you go back and look, a lot of men followed David, stayed with David, fought with David. David had about as strong an army as there ever been. And I believe it was because he took care of the men under him. He never forgot how he got where he was. Why did he show the kindness of God? Because he realized if it had been up to his merit, he'd have never got there. But thanks to God's kindness, he was. And he's like, hey, is there any left? They said Mephibosheth. I bet David was excited to find out he was crippled, because David was nothing less than a cripple that God promoted. Now he's able to show it. He's like, hot dog, it's even better that he's crippled. I'm going to show you the kindness of the God I serve. It gave hope to people that once were shepherds, thought they'd never be anything else. Probably looked at David and said, hey, that's what I want to do. I'm going to get out of this. I wonder how many people we could lead out of the mire they're in if we just show them the kindness that God has shown to us. I tell people all the time, you can do anything you want to do if you're willing to work hard enough to get it. Nowadays, they want to cheat and slide by and acquire it under false pretense. And you know what happens when they finally get there? They still fall because they don't know what they're doing. You get a man that goes to college, I'm all for it. Logan, like I said, I plan to go to college. But he's going to work for me first. He is. Somebody told me not long ago that I was kind of hard on him. Who was that? We was working doing something. Probably a grandparent, most likely it was. You know. Now they were out there with us pulling wagons. Ah, oh boy, you know. But if I say, Logan, pick your toy, that was awful harsh. Beat us on a whipping post, and if I spank him, oh God, help, you know. But anyway, but I want him to understand you earn what you get. You don't just get it. And in this day and time, everybody says, oh, it has to be this way. But you know what I've learned? At first, if y'all remember when college really got to be a big hit, you had to have a college degree or they wouldn't hire you. You know what's happening now, Brother Scott? They're figuring out that some of them kids that was in college ain't got any idea what they're doing. They know how to do things, but they don't have a clue when. What good is it if you know how to turn a carburetor if you don't know how to crank the car? Hello? I can mount tires. That's wonderful. Can you balance it? Because I don't care how many you put on the wheel. If you don't balance it, it's going to shake your head off when you go down the road. I can put brake pads on, but if you can't machine the rotors, you're going to be backing up. You can do all these things, but if you can't do it the right order, it's still useless. Now, guess what? A lot of companies are hiring young people or men that have got experience even over the college graduate because they go further faster. What do you know? Good old-fashioned work ethic still works today. And it does. I do that with Logan. Carla started paying him allowance. Said, if you'll do this, I'll pay you $1. She got to telling me what she was paying him $1 for. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll take him to work with me. I'll pay you $1. I guarantee he'll work for that $1. Man, you cheap labor. I'll pay him. I told him, I'll give you $5 if you go with me. He'll wind up back with Mama. We're teaching him the value of hard work. He needs to know how to do things. He hangs with me and somebody said, he ain't getting none of that. That's what they said about me too. But I did it. Teach a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they'll not depart from it. Where did I get that? Seemed like I've read that somewhere before. I think it was my Bible. What do you know? Something, that old book that's so out of date that needs to be rewritten that we can't understand still has the advice that works even today. David teaches us something. If we just be wise and teach people how to do something, give them a chance, it just might take us farther than we've ever been before. David said unto him, fear not, for I will surely shew thee kindness for Jonathan thy father's sake. I don't know how many of y'all have been through that, but I have. When I first started working, first got married, I could go somewhere to buy parts. And you know why they'd help me? Because I was Roland Jackson's son. That's how I got by. See, this is before credit cards, and this is before necessarily charge accounts were really big. It was your name. They called it a tab. Any of y'all even know? I bet some of you young people say, a tab. Now, what is a tab? You put it on the tab. And all that was. They didn't stamp you. They didn't take a picture of your license. They didn't get your address and your phone number. Because back then, guess what? The phone stayed at the house. Take it with you. There weren't these fancy beepers or cell phones. You talk to everybody, you better catch them at work or at home. That's the only time you was going to catch them. You left messages. I know it's hard to believe, but we used to have to wait 24 hours to talk to somebody. And if they were out of town, oh boy, you was a week out. Well, no way to get in touch with them. Are you hearing me? You know what it was? It was what we called the honor system. It's what my dad taught me. It was the honor system. They took you at your word, and when you went up and you handshake with somebody, that was your signature on a paper. Hey, you got my word. And a handshake meant more than any other paper you could have signed or done, because people wanted to be treated like they were treating others. That was the rule of thumb. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Wait a minute. I've read that somewhere too. Let me think. Oh, that's right. That old outdated book again. Even today, you know what my biggest goal was when I went to the job? Any job I've ever had, you young people, you listen to me. My goal was to get it to where they would trust me. Let me tell you something. You want to feel good about yourself. You want to feel like you've accomplished something. You gain the trust of your peers and some that's older, and it'll reward you like nothing else will. It is a rewarding thing for older men to come to me or to hear them talk and say, hey, oh, we'll take care of you. Go talk to pastor, preacher, that guy, Red, whatever they want to call me. Now they call me, I get tickled. Ricardo, strong accent from Panama. Spanish accent, real strong, you know. He calls me pastor. But I hear him, I know he's talking to me. The guy that said, the one that everybody said I'd have so much trouble with, all I had to do was respect him. And now he respects me. Isn't that funny? I'm getting more out of that one guy than probably anybody has in the last 5 to 6 years. All I had to do was show him some respect and some honor. David, we're still reading about David even today. How many thousands of years ago was this? I wonder what's going to be said about us in a couple thousand years. Are you leaving a mark or not? You know how you leave a good mark for people? Kindness. You want to leave your mark? Kindness will take you further than anything else. It ain't greed. I told somebody today, I got another guy. He was having trouble with another foreman in the company. And I knew it. Man, there was some tension. Oh, my goodness. So y'all see, I've had my fill. There's been a lot of issues. So I start working on it. And you know how I worked with him? I let him watch how I dealt with my issues. Oh my gosh, you mean you used the process of example? I know, hard to believe. I don't just say it, Brother Claude. I did it. He saw me respecting Ricardo, now he sees Ricardo respecting me and everybody else around me. There's been issues between some other guys. And I'll go to this guy and I'll say, listen, he talks, he knows, he wants this right. He ain't got no problem with you. You were set up. I go to this guy, I said, listen to me. He's a good guy. He's just as good as you are. You too. They ain't no, you were set up. And I tell them both the same things. And in a little while, they already like each other and don't even know why. I am the bridge maker. Seemed like I read that somewhere too. That's right. That same old book. We're to be the mender of the breach. It's in the book. How do you do that? By showing kindness. How do you want to be treated? Is that how you treat people? Are you one of those that when you go to buy a car, you act one way, and when you sell your car, you act another? I didn't figure I'd get no shouts over that one. I didn't figure nobody jump pews. Got awful quiet, though. I've had people tell me, now I'm going to pick at my daddy-in-law. He ain't here to defend himself. My daddy-in-law, he got to be part Jew. That man's the best I ever seen. You know what he loves to do? He loves to deal. And I like to watch him myself. It's kind of fun to watch. We've been on cruises. You get off that ship, and if y'all ever been on a cruise, you're going to know it. If you hadn't, you're going to find out. They line the sidewalks when you get off, you know. And every cruise, we have a theme, if you will. And all it is somebody needed something. Somebody forgot something at home. It becomes everybody's deal. Somebody forgot a watch. Everybody had to have a watch. Hey, I want a watch. Let's get a watch. We're all going to get a watch. You know, am I telling it right? Come back with watches, put them in the drawer, and never wear them again. Tell me, dumbest thing you ever seen. Old Bill, though, man, he's ready. He gets off, he look, and they'll say, $50, 50. He said, I'll give you 25. And I say, oh, no, 30. Hey, I'll give you 27.50. I mean, boy, he says, oh, come on, man, I know that one. And he'll forward over, get it for 20. I'm the type, if I look at something, if I feel like it's worth what he's asking, I'm just going to pay for it. If it ain't, I'm moving on. I'm that kind of guy. But when I sell something, they'll come up. I say, I'm asking this. I'll give you this. I said, nope, no, you won't. I said, I'm sorry, you didn't understand. This is what I'm getting for it, whether you take it or not. And that just tears people up. Them guys that want a Jew, my dad-in-law would hate me. He'd want a Jew, and I'm going to say, no, you don't understand, brother. I ain't got to sell it. I'll just put it back in the house. Don't make no difference to me. That tears people up. Because you know what they done? They saw the price, say you had $5,000 on a car, so they brought $4,500 cash. And they'll waive it. I'll give you $4,500 cash. And I said, no, you won't. Now, and then I start really messing with them. I said, this guy down here got a car down there. He's asking $6,000 for his, and I'm only asking $5,000. And I start messing with them just to aggravate, but I'm just that kind of person. I'm not going to Jew, and I'm not going to be Jewed. Y'all with me? It's just the way I am. But you know why? Because I like to be treated certain ways, so that's the way I do business. I don't like for somebody to get robbed, and I don't like to be robbed. So you know what? That's just the way you need to live. I don't like to be lied to, so I don't go around lying to people. I've come to the conclusion, Brother Scott, let me tell you something. I don't know who needs to hear this. Young people, y'all, whatever. Older people too. You know how you can sleep at night? Is when you have truly been honest before all people. I screwed up at work the other day. I forgot to put an RO on something. So when it got there, I told him. I said, I did it. And he wasn't too happy. But I didn't care. I mean, it's done. I did it. There it is. I said, look, I hate it. But I'm doing a lot of stuff. That's when I was just getting started. I said, man, that's a lot to remember. I said, I apologize, but I did it. And you know what he could do? Nothing. I done told him myself. What's he going to do now? Tell the boss? I done told him too. Honesty. Why? Because I want people to be honest with me. Also gives you a standing point. King David, now listen to me. Something else that comes up here, and I promise I'm going to wrap it up. Just stay with me for just another minute. King David did something that was totally unethical for kings to do. It would seem dangerous. Are y'all with me? The other kings would kill all the other family because there was a threat. They didn't do it out of meanness. They did it because they didn't want to have a threat of the kingship. Now, for David to do it and get away with it in the kingship means everybody must have backed his call. Think about what I'm saying. It showed the people under him he had a newfound power. The Bible, I gave it away. I read somewhere where even their enemies are at peace with them. Are y'all with me? It's in here. Even the people that don't like me still have to like me a little. Because they know I'm going to tell them the truth. They know I'm not going to try to beat them down. They know I am what I am. You want to get over your problems, give it to God, and then start living godly. Treat people like you want to be treated. And I promise you, it won't happen overnight, but it will come back. And I'll tell you this, if you don't live godly and you don't live righteously, that'll come back too. In the worst time, I remember I got good at signing my mother's name. I could sign my mother's name better than she could. Someone said, why would you do that? Because there were these things called report cards. And I didn't want to show it to them. So I just put the signature. But guess what? At a certain time, they had this thing called a conference. Somebody said, your parents were that stupid? No, I don't know how I got out of it. But there were times they say, ain't it about time for report cards? No. And here's the problem. When it finally came around and they found out there was more than one report card done been signed, it was real bad. It'd have been better that I just took the heat for whatever the problem was on the first one. And then guess what? On top of it, they didn't trust me. So then they buckled down on me all the way around. And if not that wasn't bad enough, then they would punish me. I'd get a whooping or I'd get grounded. They never grounded me. I got whoopings. Let's face the fact. They wasn't nothing to ground me from. So they gave me a whooping. Somebody, what's a whipping? A whooping. A whooping is when somebody takes a piece of leather that goes around your waist and beats the ever-living devil out of you. Somebody said, what? Oh, yeah. I learned to do a holy dance at a young age. Daddy would help me hold my hands up to heaven and instigate the dancing. Oh, man. Good times there. Somebody said, why would this matter? David wouldn't have got to where he was had he not been willing to treat others like he had been treated and show forgiveness and show appreciation at the same time. And he bowed himself and said, what is thy servant that thou shouldest look upon, such a dead dog as I am? Even the man he brought in realized he was useless. He couldn't do nothing. He was a dog. But the king said, now listen to this. Then the king called to Ziba, Saul's servant, and said unto him, I have given unto thy master's son all that pertaineth to Saul and to all his house. Thou, therefore, and thy sons and thy servants shall till the land for him. And thou shalt bring in the fruits of thy master's son may have food to eat. But Mephibosheth, Thy master's son shall eat bread always at my table. Now Ziba had, listen to this. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Do the math. What was that, 35? That's a bunch of people. One person's willingness to show kindness has now supplied for more than 35, 40 people. Just one. And now a man that was willing to show the kindness of God has took a cripple and put him at the king's table. I'm just curious. I wonder how much further along we would be with our families had we showed kindness to somebody else. Charity is what I talked about some, I guess it was, last Sunday. Without charity, you're nothing. You know what? No, I didn't. I used that at the funeral too, didn't I? I sure did. If you go back and study on charity, it says faith, and it talks about all these works is all good, but without charity, you're nothing. It even talks about 3 different things, faith, charity, and love. I think it was something like that. But it said the greatest of these is charity. You know why charity is this? And I'm going to give you something that I think you'll understand it. You can describe it many ways, but the best description of charity to me is being willing to give somebody something that will better them than even you. That's giving somebody else what they need to do even better than you're going to do. That's charity. How many of y'all honestly, if you knew you had something that was worth something, and you were fixing to buy it from a friend, but you knew what it was worth and they didn't, how many of you would go ahead and buy it and go sell it and make the money, or how many would tell that person? That's the difference between a person that has charity and a person that doesn't. You with me? Preacher, if that's the case, a lot of people don't have charity, and you would be correct. Most people are out for what they can get. It's me and mine alone. And they'll justify it because of the day that we live. That's why we're in trouble in America today. You see, when America used to go to war, you know the first thing we do if we won a war? We drop supplies and help them rebuild that place. Right out of the gate, we always showed charity. When we quit doing charity and we got greedy and started selling things to people and started trying to make money on things, y'all may not think this has happened, but I promise you it has. If you go back, I ain't going to call no names, but I'll put it like this. We talked about ugly people. We had a president that had the ugliest wife I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to leave it at that. But man, the economy was booming because he was selling us out blind. Go do some studying on it and just check it out. Don't take my word for nothing. We were booming, man. The economy was good. And since we were getting ours, we didn't care that the man was selling us out. We didn't care that there were dirty deals going on. And he couldn't even control it in the office. And so much it brought more shame on our office than it probably been in a long, long time. If I were you, I would study my Bible not for just saying I studied it, but study it for what it can do for you. There's information in this Bible, not a rewritten one, not a perverted one. I'm talking about the original. Read this book. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it one more time. This ain't hard preaching, by the way. I feel pretty good. After Sunday, this is a walk in the park. If I've told Logan this, and he's doing very good with this, by the way. He does good with this. He's learning. He'll get toys. And I'll admit, when he was little and I had to put them together, I got as much fun out of putting them together as he did playing with them. I like toys. I still like toys. I used to get mad at Christmas would come around, Carla would get me adult stuff. I'm like, dadgummit, get me one toy. I want something to play with. But something I learned early in life through my daddy. We get in a hurry and want to see something done, don't we? Remember when you was young, you get models or you get something that has to be put together, and you want to get it together, so you start putting the big pieces up so you can see what it's going to look like. And Dad would say, son, if you follow instructions, it'll do good and it'll work right when you're done. Well, it finally sunk in, so I do the same with him. I'm like, son, if you'll follow the instructions, it'll work. And it'll work better, save you time, and you'll be very proud of it when you're done. All of us need to realize that if we'll just follow the instructions that were written for a particular thing, it'll work every time. You need to understand something. This Bible was not written Now listen to me. The Bible wasn't written to construct buildings. Not really what it was about. It wasn't written even to build economies and do great financial things. That's not what it was written for. Somebody would say that Bible was written to build churches, and that I would agree with. That's part of it. Because as you all know, the church isn't this building, right? The church is the people. Someone said, that don't make any sense. Tell you what you do. You come up here on Saturday, wake at nighttime. Ooh, I'm going to tell you something, ain't nothing spookier than a church that's empty in the dark. You come up here in this church when it's empty and see if it feels the same as it does when it's full. You'll find out right quick what gives the church what it is. It's the people. This book was written as an instruction to the Christian of how to build a good life, a strong life, a solid life. It has good marital values. It has good student values. It has good human being values. It's just got good instruction. And it still works. The problem is we're so smart we won't listen to this anymore. We want something new that's quicker. We want to see something real fast. The problem is it just don't hold up very well. And it winds up hurting us in the long run instead of working correctly. You understand what I'm saying? You need to go back and read some of David's writings. Go back and read some of Psalms. In 2 Samuel, some of the best reading you're going to do. Proverbs, good reading. A lot of this is just instructions. Now tonight, someone said, that message didn't do much for me. Usually, you won't get something out of all of it, but there'll be something there for you. But if you're not here, there's no way you can get it. It's just not the same. We eat 3 meals a day. Well, 2. If I eat 3, I'd be suffering. I like to eat 3 a day. I'm with you, I like it. If I look like you, I could eat it too. But it's to stay the size in this area I'm in, I had to cut one. And the other 2, I can't turn loose either. Now, Miss Sierra, she almost got me in big trouble. I had to slow down my chocolate and peanut butter consumption. Man, I was wearing them Reese's were so good too, boy. I was killing them things. I still kept one. I kind of savored that one. It's my faithful one. As good as it is going in, I know the effects if I'm not careful with it. How you know that? From effects. Cause and effect. Tonight, I don't know where you're at. I don't know what might be going through your mind. Carla's our book up here that you had. There's a song in there I'm going to try to do. I don't think I stripped any gears out. Is it this burgundy book? While we stand to our feet, I guess what brought this on, my thinking, and I apologize, I ain't always running and jumping and shouting, but, I get things on my mind. You start the week with a funeral, you end it with a wedding, man, what a roller coaster ride you get on. And it's just part of life. This is life. And I worry about things. We got projects here that need to be done. So many things going on that it's just phenomenal. But then God shows me how quickly my perspective can change. A death of a friend's wife unexpectedly. Boy, that changes the way you think. All of a sudden you realize that I don't have control of this like I thought I did. All of us have thoughts of what we have planned to do, don't we? You make plans, but then let something drastic happen. All of a sudden, all that don't matter. Now, what seemed to be so important to keep us away from church, keep us away from doing what God called us to do, all of a sudden it just drops. You ever notice that? Brother Roy was not expecting to be dealing with the things that he dealt with. I wasn't expecting to be in the funeral, Brother Claude. Hey, but I was. Carla was not expecting to go to Greensboro to bury one of her aunts. She's got an aunt down there that's going through cancer treatments. We get back. Got a lot going on at work. Been trying to get a couple of vehicles straightened out for different things. Then you find out there's more trouble on another side of the family. It's just always something. I told Brother Roy, I said, there's going to be songs going to mean more to you now than they ever have. Right now, these songs won't hit some of you young people, but give it time. They will. Heaven sounding sweeter means something to me now. What a day that will be. I got more friends over there, Brother Scott. I'm probably on an equal keel right now. I about got as many over there as I do here. Right now you're thinking, I only 2 or 3 people you may know in heaven, but I know a bunch now. And you will too. Just listen to the words of this song. Altar's open if you need to pray. Somewhere just across the Jordan River is a place of everlasting joy and peace, where the stream of life is flowing there forever, and a crown of life is waiting there for me. And that sounds like home to me, like where I long to be. There'll be no tears to ever fill our eyes again. The hills will echo with the story as we sing of His grace and glory, where the saints of God will be. That sounds like home to me. It may not sound like home to you tonight, but it will. I like this verse. They say there's mansions there inside that city, a crystal river flowing by the tree of life. No pain and disappointment there to hurt us, and Jesus Christ Himself will be the light. And that sounds like home to me, like where I long to be. There'll be no tears to ever fill our eyes again. The hills will echo with the story as we sing of His grace and glory, where the saints of God will be. That sounds like home to me. Let's pray. Lord, we thank You for another chance to come to Your house. Lord, I'm thankful for every trial You ever put me through. Lord, I look back over my life and I've seen things I didn't understand, didn't realize what You were doing. But Lord, I'm glad some 20 years, 30, 40 years later, I'm so thankful that You didn't listen to what I said, but You did what was needed. God, I pray tonight You'd help us to look in the mirror. God, that we'd realize someday this isn't going to be home down here. We'll start realizing there's another place that we'd rather be. And we'll realize the reason for that is there's more there than there are here. Lord, we pray You'd help us to get a vision. Lord, that we could share with others, that we lift them up, that we can be charitable. Give us a heart of charity. Lord, I believe if we could ever get close to it, it'd be the difference in night and day in the church house. Lord, we thank you again for the ones that's here. I pray you bless them extra just for coming out. Lord, help those that need to be. Lord, help us to be thankful that you give us a burden and a want to. Lord, we'll surely praise you and honor you for all that you do. For in your sweet name we do pray. Amen. All right, if you'll give me just a minute to get to the back door. We got to get with the men again Sunday on the men's retreat. You remember me telling you how time gets away from you? Brother Adam, can you put that picture up here? Now, I want you to take a look at that. That is my little boo-boo right there. That's about time I started calling him boo-boo. He just looks like a boo-boo. Look at them little ears. And I'm telling you, it seemed like it was yesterday that I could pick him up and hold him in one hand and shake people going out. If I tried that now, I'd break my arm. I'm telling you, this thing gets away from you in a hurry. Cherish the moments. Cherish the moments. Remember everything that's coming up at the church. If you're not involved, get involved. Think of that person you don't think would ever come to church and invite them anyway. And what you will soon find out is you can get people to come to church if you'll live like you say you are. That's what wins them every time. All right, if there's nothing else, shake hands with somebody and you can be dismissed.